Well, welcome everyone. I am so happy you have joined us. This is um, our almost first spring meeting, right? We're in March. The time is moving right along here. I'm going to go through the role from our last meeting, and if there's anyone new here, please let me know. For anyone new who might be joining us and you do not know me, my name is Madalena, and I'm the DBE Program Chief for WISDOT, and I'm joined here by many of my team members and colleagues, and also other representatives from WISDOT who are multiple resources for you. So moving through our role, and I will say, please mute if you aren't talking. That should help us with any kind of feedback or weirdness that we might encounter, and hopefully Teams is going to hold strong for us today. We will start out with Steve Krebs. Are you here today, Steve?
Yes, I had to just get off mute. So yeah, I'm here.
Okay, welcome, Steve. I see Leah. Good afternoon, Leah.
Hi, Madalena.
Suki Han, are you here?
I am.
Good afternoon, Suki. And I see Beth. Thanks for being here, Beth Canestra.
I am here. Thank you.
John Zignago.
Here. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Pat Goss. No Pat today. Matt Grove.
Here.
How are you, Matt?
Great. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Good.
Ijoma, are you here today?
I'm here. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Kyle Beld, are you here?
Yep, I'm here.
Do you have another colleague joining you from Integrity today too?
I do. Sarah should be on.
Yep. Sarah Upton, I'm on. Thanks, Kyle.
Hi,
Yep.
Sarah. Welcome. And Jeff Peterson.
Hello.
Hi there. Paul and Don. Are you here today? Okay, maybe we'll catch him later. I know Lori Green is here, and Nishak.
Yep, I'm here.
Hi, Anne. Julie Harkinson.
I'm here.
Hello, Julie.
Hello.
Marlena Williams, I know you are here. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Yes, I am. Good afternoon, everyone.
Meenal Ham, are you here? No, Meenal. Ugo Wabarocha, are you here today? Not yet. Okay. Let us know when you get here, Ugo. Jill Fairman.
I'm here.
Hi, Jill.
Hi.
Becky Soderholm from Transit. Are you here today?
Yes, I'm here. Hi, everybody.
Hi, Becky. Brent Freeman, I think I saw you here.
I'm here. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon. And Darren Stanky, is he joining you as well?
Darren's not going to be on today, just me.
Okay. Larry Burkhart, are you here? No Larry today, Jeff?
He's working for a living, believe it or not.
Okay. All right. We'll try to get through without him. Mary Forlenza from FHWA. Were you able to join us today?
I am. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon. Is Stephen here as well?
Stephen is not, just me.
Okay. All right, good. Well, then I have everyone from the last meeting. Who have I missed who is here now that was not here last time?
Good afternoon. This is Natalia.
Hi, Natalia. Natalia Vega is on our certification team.
Rosalind.
Oh, hi, Rosalind. Hello. Support services.
Shannon.
Hi, Shannon. Welcome. Shannon's in aeronautics. Pardon me?
Brian Mitchell.
Brian Mitchell. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, Madalena. It's Benji.
Hi, Benji. Nice to see
Hello,
you.
dear. Me too.
Hey everyone, we're here.
Don Miller. All right, thank you. Okay, I saw a couple phone numbers. There's a 262 number. Did we already get you? 262-547.
That's John Zignagel. Yep.
Okay, John. All right. Maybe. Oh, and I do see Ugo now as well. Welcome, Ugo.
Hello, hello.
Hello. Okay, well, with that, welcome everyone. We will ask Steve Krebs to say a few words, and then we'll move on to our review of the meeting minutes from last meeting.
Thank you, Madalena. Thanks everybody for joining today. I know we're still virtual, but hopefully in the near future we'll be able to get together in person. Just want to really thank everybody for participating. It's important that we get together to discuss the issues that we have before us and get everybody's input, all the stakeholders to come together, get the input, and then try to formulate the best possible solution going forward. So look forward to a great meeting. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Steve. I will be on camera as much as I can. Once I'm sharing my screen, I'm going to go off so that we hopefully can reduce glitches. Lori Green, would you please share the minutes with us from the last meeting in January?
Hello, yes, hi everybody. Just a brief overview of the minutes. Something that I noticed right away that I will correct, and that is the individual topics, the names of the individuals who were facilitating them. They may be incorrect on the minutes, so I fixed them on the revised version. So I just put that in a note that I'll be changing that. The meeting began at January 19, 2021 at 1:00 p.m. with roll call and introductions. FHWA Representative Joe Batha introduced Mary Florenza to the group who will be replacing him as the FHWA representative. DTST Administrator Steve Krebs welcomed everyone to the first Transact meeting of 2021. Then we move to the DBE Goal Attainment Report, and the official DBE Goal Attainment Report was not provided for the meeting. In its place, Madalena provided an update on 2020 DBE Goal Attainment and bid letting results update. The next session was the LET discussion and Form DT 1506. Madalena provided updates to the group. OBLC Director Lee Collins Warchek encouraged stakeholders to continue to provide feedback as they use the new forms. The next section was the Good Faith Effort Rubric Overview. DBE Chief Madalena Maestri provided an overview of the GF Good Faith Effort Evaluation Rubric used by WISDOT to rate the documentation of efforts made by primes to work with DBEs. The floor was open for question and comments provided in the minutes. Then WISDOT encouraged stakeholders to use the new geospatial map, interactive map with the locations of DBEs certified to work in Wisconsin. The next topic was the industry issues check-in. Larry Burkhardt informed WISDOT that he continued to see outdated DT 1202 and attachment A's on the HCCI website, and WISDOT responded that an additional online sweep will be performed and asked stakeholders to continue to notify WISDOT when they see outdated forms. The discussion continued. Upcoming events information was provided. Closing comments made by DTST administrator. Meeting adjourned at 2:25 p.m. and that's it.
Okay, thank you, Lori. Does anyone have anything to change or add to those notes? Any corrections? Okay, well, hearing none, can we move to approve the minutes from the January meeting?
So moved.
Someone move. All right. Thank you. That was Ugo.
Yes,
Do we have a
ma'am.
second?
I'll second Beth.
That's Beth. All right. Thank you very much. Those minutes are approved. And we will move on to the DBE Goal Attainment Report, which our program engineer, Marlena Williams, will present. Marlena, do you want to share your screen? And I will go off screen.
Sure. Thank you. Give me a moment here. I just want to make sure I pull up the correct file. I should have closed my other files before I open this. Give me just a moment here. Alrighty. That is not the file I want. Give me just a moment. Sorry for the delay here. Alrighty. I am going to have to reopen that file, which is fine. Here we go. Okay.
Well, while Marlena is doing that, I will give a brief update about the progression we've been seeing in our lettings. We'll go over results a bit once I talk to you more in my portion. But I just wanted to note that we have seen great efforts across the board on submission of required documentation, of following up with us directly from contractors who have questions, wanting to make sure that they understand requirements, wanting to be thorough in good faith effort documentation. So just want to share that with you, that we're seeing a very positive trend there. And I see Marlena's ready, so I will mute.
Well, hello, everyone. Thank you for that, Madalena. Good afternoon. I am, hopefully you all can see what we have on screen here. I'm going to start with, we are right now in the middle of review for the March 2021. We just had the bid letting last week. While over 80% of those projects have been processed and approved, we are not quite there yet. So you will not see March here, but we will capture that on the next meeting. And just a quick shout out to the team. There has been constant improvement in trying to improve that process and make sure that we get through it as best we can. So Madalena has done a great job in leading that effort, and we definitely want to stay the course. But just to jump back here, as you'll see, the majority of the screen will cover the construction notes here, the month by month in fiscal year 2021. And the overall construction goal is 12.41%. And if you just draw your eyes to the bottom, you would see the consultant achievement, and this would include consultant plus construction committed. And that's the yellow highlight you're looking at the bottom of the screen there. I believe Brian, is Brian on to cover consultant details later?
No, I'm raising my hand here quick. It's Madalena. Brian will not cover consultant. We're just showing this here because it's overall achievement, and I'm noting that the header of our report should say that this is our overall annual goal, because construction and consulting are working together here. So just so you all know, don't freak out right now that construction must achieve 12.41 on its own. That is a combined goal. Okay, back to you.
Thank you. And thank you, Madalena. My apologies there. Just tracking back through our, from October, you see the 2020, October, November, December. It brings us forward to where we are in February. And we can see that while we had 82 million awarded per contract, our team truly focuses in on that federal amount. And let me just make sure you can see all levels. This is the row I wanted you to see. So we focus in on those federal dollars that are on the projects. And so you see where we're tracking right now for fiscal year 2021. We are ahead of our goal, which is a great thing. And we do want to make sure we're spending more time, as Madalena and I were talking. She mentioned definitely, diversifying and making sure that we are diversifying and bringing on more DBEs to participate. And we're thankful for the participation that we have as of yet. Just a note, for January, we had 30 of total contracts, and February 29. Right now, as we have gone into full implementation of Gfe review or full Gfe implementation, we have had a different spin on how our let's go. And so Madalena is quite instrumental in that, as well as the Gfe team. So you will see one pending approval for January of 2021, as well as February of 2021 in column in here. Let's see, another note I wanted to bring out while we're looking at the fiscal year 2021. Right now, we're tracking at 14.17%, which you'll see toward the middle bottom of the screen there. And we're doing good, doing well, and we want to continue in that direction. As we look at the consultant achievement combined with construction, we have a combined $454,880.41 total. Currently, $650 million is set out for construction, but our total overall is $750 million total, and we're looking at $230 million to go, with 6 months yet to attain that goal. So we're so far so good, and like I say, we want to keep in that direction. And this is without additional commitments, without additional neutral commitments, I should say. Any other notes here? I don't think I have very much more besides what we have to present. I will add this though, for construction March 2021, we have 29 projects with federal funding. The bid was last week, and that's not counting any deferred projects. Of those, we had 6. The Gfe team is doing a great job with processing those. And this means that of the 29 projects, 23 of them met the assigned DBE goal. So we would like to keep trekking in the same direction. Any notes you want to add there, Madalena?
Thank you, Marlena. The only thing I will add is that those revised attachment A columns will come back in the next meeting, so that you'll see where we are pulling in that neutral participation above and beyond the commitments that you see right here. So just so you're aware, this is only commitments at time of bid. So we have other dollars that we are still verifying, and those commitments that are going to become part of this too. And we're over that 14.17% in overall achievement, because that's also not yet including that 9 million of commitments there that you see in the consultant achievement. So we're really tracking well right now. And as I have mentioned to you all before, when we see our neutral participation going up and we're exceeding our goal projections, we are able to lower our upfront goals that are set at the project level. So you'll start seeing that, and we need to track that consistently each month to make sure that if we backslide a bit, we're adding those goals back in. But right now we feel confident in the data that we have that we can make some of those upfront adjustments. So be aware of that change coming, and that we'll share more on our separate neutral achievement next time around. So are there any questions for Marlena? Well, Marlena, you must. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
One is the spreadsheet available in the documents that were sent out to us?
It sure
I
will
don't
be.
believe it was included, but Lori can send this out after the meeting.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. We can make it available. Yes. Thank you.
I have trouble reading. It's a little small for me. Oh.
Sorry about that. I tried to increase the screen, but as soon as I do that, something else is cut off. So.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thanks, Brian. Anybody else? Well, thank you, Marlena.
All righty. Thank you.
If there are any other questions along the way that you think of that you have for Marlena, just raise your hand. So I'm going to share my Transact update, which I think is going to trump Marlena. I cannot see if any hands are raised, so someone help me out if we do have hands raised. I want to start out. Pardon me?
Yeah, I'll watch for you, Madeline. I'll watch for any hands if I see them.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I will not be taking as much time as I did the last time. Brief update on our letting results. As you can see, we've been tracking the total bids received, and these are the bids received per proposal. So we have 30 proposals. We actually received 87 bids for the month of March. 7 were shown as non-responsive. However, this was not 7 different bidders. It was actually 4 separate bidders. 1 bidder who had 3 errors. So I'm still looking at that as a trending downwards in terms of non-responsive. And where we are seeing this, for the most part, what is considered non-responsive, we see attachment A's not being included for DBEs or not signed. We've seen a few instances in which the 1506 is blank or is for the wrong project. Some of these things we can remedy in the moment, some we cannot. What we are going to do to try to minimize the amount of non-responsive or potential non-responsive as we're checking in documents. For April, we're going to try to reach out to contractors as we're checking in the bids and we see that some attachment A's are missing. We'll just reach out by email and say, heads up, make sure to submit your attachment A for TNT trucking by 11 a.m. tomorrow, just so that we're making sure that there's one more level of you have this opportunity to get the documentation in. And we also want to make sure if there was anything that got missed on our end, we certainly are able to include it. So we've still got some room in April to do that. And if that practice works well, then that's something that we can move forward because we certainly don't want to see any bid be non-responsive. So if there's ways that we can help to cut that down, then that's what we will do. In March, we have 6 good faith effort requests. Those are being processed currently. There is 1 administrative reconsideration, and that's in relation to good faith effort. That is part of the February letting. So I wanted to just touch base on good faith effort in general because I know that there are lots of questions out there about how the process works. We've been having conversations one-on-one with contractors. I've received a lot of phone calls personally. I think that it's a great demonstration of everyone working together to try to meet these requirements. I do always reiterate that the best way to demonstrate good faith effort is by meeting the DBE goal. When that isn't possible, then there is an option that should be used sparingly, but we do have the option and we will continue to have the option for contractors to demonstrate good faith efforts that are documented. We can't read your mind, so you've got to document those efforts that you undertook. And to that end, I have some suggested revisions to the rubric itself that I would like to share with you because I think that we can do some things to maybe demystify this process a little bit. So in the next section, I'll go over that with you, but in relation to steps forward that we're making for the bid letting, the next step in relation to DB documentation collection is that we will have this e-submit platform available for contractors to submit the supplemental materials. So attachment A's that weren't submitted with the bid, and the DT 1202 supplemental. I'm not sure what other type of additional attachments you would have, but there will be that option too. This will be ready in production, this platform, on Wednesday night, actually. And so we will reach out to a few contractors, and anybody on the phone who might want to try it out, let me know. What you have to do is register for a WAMS ID and then request permission from us to have access to this platform. And then it's very simple. You go in here, you enter the let date, the proposal ID, your name, and then you upload a file. There's a naming convention that's clear here. If you don't use this naming convention, it will show you an error and tell you you have to use this naming convention. You can add additional emails for whomever you want us to contact and a phone number, and you will guaranteed receive a confirmation that your submission was received. I know that has been an issue with the DB Alert email box. Sometimes it confirms that you've submitted something and sometimes it does not. So this will be a hub that we will be moving to. We'll start out with it in April as an option so that it doesn't feel like anyone who might not have been aware doesn't have time to use this. We'll do many email blasts and information notifications. We'll send information out to anyone on eligible bidders list so that you are informed that this is an option. However, we'll still allow for use of the DB alert for at least a few more months as we're moving towards our changes. Sorry, my screen just really wants to go deal with that rubric. So I maybe have to take the message here. Do you have any questions about e-submit or anything else I've said before we go over to the rubric?
So that's available this Wednesday. We can do a test on it, Madalena?
Yeah, sorry, is that Brent?
Yeah.
Yeah, I will send you an invite and ask you to please check this out for us. And
Great.
the cool thing is that when you sign up for your ID, even to test it, that will be your final ID. So you'll just be able to go ahead and start using the system right after that. We just wanted to maybe get some checks on if there was anything else we weren't considering or something that would cause usability issues. So I will invite you. Yes.
This is Jeff Peterson. Will it be per company you'll do this, or will it be per estimator? Will each have their own e-submit?
You can set up as many WAMS IDs as you want for your company. So, you know, if you want 4 people in your business to be able to upload here, then you would make sure each has a WAMS ID.
Okay.
And then use, you know, you have to ask permission from us. You could have a JPS WAMS account and let more than one person use that. You know, if you don't want to go through 5 permissions.
Okay, write us up. We want to be part of it.
Okay, I will send you a tester. I think, you know, I think that probably everyone who regularly comes to Transact is on my list to include you as testers. So I guess maybe message me, contractors, if you want to opt out. Otherwise, I'm just gonna send you that and ask you to please test it.
Madalena, this is Leah. Could you
Hi, Leah.
briefly, just in case there's anybody in the meeting that's not aware, could you just briefly share like what might be the pros to using e-submit versus the way that contractors are currently submitting their information?
Sure. Thank you, Leah. Yeah, one is the feature that you will absolutely have a confirmation email. So you will know that this information was submitted, we received it. You are not worrying whether or not it got into this mailbox that has to be manually sorted. And the manual sort is another potential area for issues. And so by using this system, in which things are sorted into folders that we can access immediately. I'm really sorry about the screen thing. I don't know what's going on. We can access your information in a folder that will be your folder for each proposal. So the information is already organized. We're not sorting through hundreds and hundreds of emails to find your information. It will all be here, and it will be exactly the document you wanted us to get for that proposal. So a hub, think of it that way. So it's going to be more efficient for you and for us. Okay, any other questions on that piece?
I'll add, Madalena, just a comment here, just the time to give thanks to the people who have been heeding some of the feedback we've been sharing from letting to letting. Just as I'm approving quite a few of these files, I'm noticing some of the things we've talked about is coming through, and that contributes to why we do have over 80% of those files processed, because we didn't have to spend too much time reaching back for different document details to be corrected. So thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that, because it really has made our job easier when we're able to access the information that we need the majority of the time right away, and we can move things along. And then Jill can also award more quickly if we're able to process things more quickly. So it helps all around for us to be working together. So thank you all. Right, so on to the Gfe Evaluation Rubric. What I have done here is show you an example of what we've got right now, and then the area that I think is going to be the improvement for us to go in. I would like us to implement this approach as soon as possible, and so I'm bringing it to you for any feedback you may have. There are a couple reasons for doing this type of a modification. One of the things that we've noticed is that by having this point system on the current rubric, which you see on the left side here, it has made this be a very points-driven type of a process, whereas the points themselves were never really the important focus as much as undertaking quality, sincere efforts. Somebody might be able to do that with 11 different types of activities. Someone else may do that in, I mean, you can see here, there's 20 different areas or so. But it's really not about points. We also were experiencing confusion as to what do the points mean? Is it 1 to 5? Is it a scale of points? Is it you get more points the more DBEs you reach out to? For instance, the solicitation documentation, if I only would reach out to 20 DBEs, will I not get 5 points for quantity? Whereas, you know, that quantity there refers to amount of different types of activities. For instance, you might send an email and a solicitation letter, you might follow up by phone and put an ad in the Daily Reporter. So we thought that these points are causing potential distraction. So the recommended change that I have here is that we number clearly these items, which are in the activities column now. These are the items listed on the DT 1202 documentation of good faith efforts form 1 through 7 are those actual items. And then we would retain a documentation of other GFE activities. And my screen has told me it's time to move on. So we currently have a 2-phased system, at least in words, in which we are looking at the rubric, checking in all of this documentation, and then moving on to a second phase of the process, which in reality, the best way to do this is to look at one process that has 2 steps within it. And this is sort of an exercise here to demonstrate to you that we've retained the same information. It's just been moved around a bit in terms of what it is that we do. So rather than after phase 1 and coming up with these points, we're saying, okay, we're taking a holistic approach to the entire review. Don't worry about points. Look at having covered an activity in each of these categories. So a minimum of 1, certainly not limited to that, but that will allow us also to give you feedback if something is missing. There was nothing documented for negotiation with DBEs, for instance. We can refer to that clearly to you. Rather than trying to say, is each one of these things enough or not enough, or what's the number? So it's looking at that from a more qualitative aspect and based on the documentation that you would submit. And so with phase 1 and phase 2 blended, really, after we see that, you know, all of the activities are documented, there's something in each area, we are also reviewing your quote comparisons. That will continue to be an important focus as we look at the documentation of sound reasoning for rejection of DBE. It does bring us back to the tricky territory of what is reasonable. Yet I do recommend you look at the DT 1202, which for each of those activities required does list the types of activities that you can undertake to demonstrate what you've taken into consideration. And sound reasoning is one of those in which multiple things are listed for how you could demonstrate that you have made a decision that is not based solely on cost alone. Sometimes it is a cost-based decision, and you can also document how that was reasonable as well. We are reviewing the average of the other bidders' DBE goal achievement, and then the team analysis of the combined efforts is now looking at this holistically, right? Which would result then in is the GFE request denied because these were mere pro forma efforts, or is it a bona fide good faith effort demonstration in which the request would be approved because this is a genuine effort, sincere and earnest, and we've looked at the other bidders' achievement as well. So I wanted to put these side by side for you just so that you could see that the same things are happening. We just wanted to kind of get away from having this be misconstrued as formulaic with these points, giving the bidder the option to have many different ways to approach demonstrating the efforts, and also to bring this in so that we can say, all right, well, this is one process that combined will allow us to give you feedback on if good faith effort was demonstrated. Okay, so with that said, there must be some questions. Who has questions for me? Maybe not, because, you know, this makes a lot of sense. So maybe there aren't any questions because it's just very clearly, obviously the right approach. Is that it? Is that what you're thinking?
Okay, Madeline, it's Matt. I'll comment.
Okay, Matt.
Obviously, the concern is subjectivity in the process. The best approach would be clearly defined requirements with more of a checkbox. You either met it or you didn't meet it. I think the frustration and always the questions that are going to come out of this process is why was it handled one way in one case and one way in another case, and the response to that will be that that's not happening, and it wasn't intentional or anything like that. Totally understand that, but if you have a subjective process, you're always going to have to deal with that. So we've always looked for something that clearly spells out what the requirement is, and there shouldn't be any need for any judgment by any individuals that can judge. Humans are going to judge inconsistently. That's just how it goes. That's the nature of that sort of process, and that creates problems. So a process that once again that defines what the requirements are, and you either get credit or you don't. I know like business development efforts, I'd be curious to see what qualifies and what doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
And
sure.
I mean we're always going to struggle with this as long as it's subjective, because in most people's minds it shouldn't be left up to an individual to determine whether somebody passed or somebody didn't pass. It should be you either followed the requirement, the clearly defined requirement, or you didn't. And I think that's the direction that you need to go in at least. Otherwise, we're going to continue to struggle with inconsistencies and questions from on different projects.
Sure, I hear you there, Matt. And so, for one thing, we are not allowed to use a formulaic approach that would not allow place for us to use our judgment. We can get as close to consistent as possible in terms of letting you know what type of documentation would be adequate. And so the 1202 lays out specific types of activities and documentation that would be expected to document those types of efforts, as well as giving you the option to define your own activities. I think that what we are finding here in the reviews that we've done is it's not so much that efforts weren't being undertaken, it's that they weren't documented. And so when the documentation process happens from the contractor side, then we are pretty easily able to see that the effort is there in terms of what was documented. If we missed something, that's where the contractor has the opportunity also through the administrative reconsideration process to come back and say, we documented that. We can show that we submitted that and you didn't count it. And that would be reviewed by an independent reviewer who would make that decision as to, whether we did make a mistake in missing something that was submitted. The other thing to take into account is that the subjective process also helps the contractor, because that means that we look at these on an individual basis and we can say, the excavator may get a different type of quote than someone who's doing paving. Subcontractable opportunities are different. When we can look at the information that is being presented by now all of the bidders who are either requesting good faith effort or met the goal, and we can see who the DBs are on the commitment, we can then say, well, this bidder, it's not just straightforward saying, well, somebody met the goal, so they should have met it too. Did they get the same quotes? We follow up on those types of things. Which if we simply took a formulaic approach, we could just disregard any documented efforts, look at whether or not any bidder met the goal. Yes, they did. That's grounds for us to say the goal was achievable. You should have met it. We will not approve good faith effort. So what we're trying to do is say, all right, the goal being met certainly demonstrates that the goal was achievable, but there are other factors here that we want to take into account that we feel would give the benefit to a contractor in making sure that we've seriously considered variables that they're facing, as well as to give the opportunities to the DBEs where we know that when goals are achievable, and it's happened now for 20 years, where good faith effort is just approved without really considering that potentially some more efforts could be taken. And so we're really needing to answer both of those. How do we meet the achievement of the goal more consistently, and how do we also take into account what these individual efforts are? So I hope that helps to some extent. We're not going to go fully formulaic, but I think there's good reasons for that. Yes, Matt?
Yeah, sorry, I was on mute. Yeah, thanks. Thanks. Yeah, I understand. Everyone's trying to do the right time. We're trying to help create a process that doesn't lead to a lot of questions about why was it this way in one case and this way in another case, and those are very hard to avoid because there's winners and losers in a process like this, and I think it's really important for everybody to just make sure we protect the integrity of the process, because it's important to the success of everyone and all the effort that goes into this.
Absolutely. And it's a lot of work. for contractors to have to go through this process as well. So for many reasons, it's better to meet the goal. But we are able now to see the, a much greater picture of what's happening out there in the terms of what quotes are received, what type of work is subcontractable. We couldn't see that before we collected all of the information from all bidders. So I think it's really helping us to improve our process of how we're reviewing these submissions as well, because we have a full picture of what's happening. Okay, any other questions? Jeff, you have any questions for me?
Well, not exactly. I thought Matt covered it very well. Again, it's a learning process for all of us. I think 99% of the contractors are trying to do their best to make this work. Feedback from you folks is really important. When we submit, you gave us a couple feedbacks on some jobs. We changed a few things. I think that's really important. If we can ask you to give us feedback, good or not, when we submit everything, would be appreciated. Do you want us to request certain jobs, or how do we do that so we can get the feedback?
Sure. Yep. If you, we were trying to do reviews for everyone, and it really became pretty overwhelming. So at this point, if you aren't the low bid, but you would like a review, and you just reach out and ask me, and we can get that done.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sure.
That's important, so we can see what we did right and what we didn't do right.
Yeah, I think the feedback is good. You can always call me. You see here in how we're looking to revise and remove points happening here. We can list specifically in now, and you might have started to see that. I don't know if anyone here has had a recent GFE since January, but we've started to add right into the rubric itself what types of activities, what did we look at there, so that it's easier at a first glance to just kind of go, oh, okay. So they saw that I did SPN and an ad in the paper and did phone calls or whatever, so it becomes a sort of all in one place tool. I really can't emphasize enough how helpful it is to use the 1202. So when you're in doubt, what is this asking me to document? And you don't want to go back to ASP3, which also has other resources. The 1202, which you've got to use anyways and respond to, lists why you're doing it and what it is that would be a demonstration, an adequate demonstration. Okay, you know what? Earlier when we did roll call, I hadn't had Craig Craig Clemens on the previous meeting. Craig, are you here today? I don't know if he is. Lori, let's make sure that he for sure has the Transact meeting schedule, because I want to make sure that he can be here. I know that DBEs are not having as much interaction with preparing the GFE itself, but I'm wondering, Anne, since you're here, do you have anything that you want to add just about how this process has been going? Have you noticed a difference in maybe how primes are interacting with you or engaging you in additional conversation?
Yeah, it does seem like we're getting additional calls and letters and follow-ups. So I don't know, just seems like they're trying a little harder than they were before.
Well, that's good to hear that that dialogue is happening. When I talk to DBEs, I do also always encourage them to be reaching out to talk to primes as well, because especially if you're new to our market, it is important to be introducing yourself and just making sure that you're part of developing that relationship too. One of the things I had a note from a DBE who was asking that primes would let them know when they've been selected on a project when the bid is submitted, because now that we've changed our process for collecting attachment A's, and all bidders are collecting the attachment A, the DBEs aren't necessarily sure that they've been included on the commitment. So I just wanted to pass that message and request along that as you are adding DBEs to the commitment, sometime in that week, maybe just let them know, hey, if we're awarded this project, we did put you on the commitment. So if it's executed, you can plan on working with us. And that's helpful for them to know, which they don't know now by submitting the attachment A, which was the indicator in the past that the DBE had been selected.
And
Madeleine,
we have a question.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Steve.
Hey, Madalena, John Zignagel. Can you walk me through the process of when we pick up DBEs after the bid and we're submitting our supplemental information? It's come up a few times with me where we just don't have enough time to review everything, and maybe we pick up, say, a steel supplier in that 24-hour window. Should I be resubmitting 1506 with attachment A's with my GFE request? It seems to be that's the way that you guys want to handle it. Can you just let me know what the proper way should be, how that should be done, please?
Thanks. That's a good question. So the 1506 will stand for whatever you submitted at bid, but we do recommend that you collect that attachment A and submit it along with your good faith effort request. If you've exceeded the goal or you've met the goal already, just plan to then go on and add the DBE after. We can handle that through a revision to the 1506 in a little more straightforward way than we can if we're handling a GFE. So if it's a good faith effort request, you still have that 24 hours to submit the additional participation and then indicate in your narrative that you are still going to select a DBE. You realize you can't add them for credit on your initial commitment, but you're still going to add them. And that is a demonstration of good faith effort, even though it can't get onto your initial 1506. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Madalena, Jeff Peterson has a question.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. Are you muted?
Yeah, how do I put my hand down now that I've got your attention?
You just click the hand raise button again, and it'll lower your hand.
Well,
see that?
I don't think I did.
Click the hand again.
I did click it.
No, you're clicking the button. Click the hand that you have.
Well, anyway, the question, so we're starting to see some final language come out, and as far as the attachment A's, being in at bid time and all of that. Right now, you're giving us the ability to turn in a quote if we can't get the attachment A for whatever, and that's still going to be a problem. How are you actually going away from that, where we cannot turn in the quote from the DBE instead of the attachment A in case we can't get a hold of them, or for some reason we can't get that in our hands?
You will still be able to submit the quote or attachment A.
Either
we just
way.
need the signed attachment A, right? So even in full implementation of the documentation, collection will still have that 24-hour window for the supplemental materials and the attachment A's. The piece that we want to try to add, if our staff can handle it, is to reach out to you, to anyone who hasn't submitted, say, all of the attachment A's at time of bid, to just send a reminder saying, we'll be looking for attachment A for XYZ by 11 a.m. tomorrow, because I know those things can get missed, and we want to ensure that we can help you out where possible.
Very good, thank you.
Okay, I don't see any other hands. Anyone else want a chance?
Yeah,
pull up.
Madeline, can I
Yes,
just
Steve.
say a couple things? Yeah, I think Jeff brought up a good point about, April will still be in a soft launch, but with the May letting, we're going to be in mandatory submission of this material at the time of bid. And so I want people to understand that we had a soft launch, and then we asked for an extension, and thanks to FHWA for granting that extension and working with us to make sure that we educated as many people as possible as we went through this process, understanding that it is not, we've had a very static process when it came to bidding for many, many years. And this was a big change, and a lot of people are getting used to what we're doing. And so it was really fortunate for us that we were able to extend the soft launch. But May is what we've always, been considering the hard launch. So we'll continue to work with people to the extent that we possibly can. But once May rolls around, it'll be the hard launch.
Right. And so to clarify there, right now we reach out to all bidders. So say that we hit our supplemental window. It's after 11 a.m. on Wednesday. We haven't received your attachment A. We're going to reach out and just let you know. We didn't receive that in May. This would be considered non-responsive, and we will still, if you were the low bidder, take your attachment A right now. We still will have that 24-hour window. But at that point, in May, if we don't have either attachment A's, by that time, it won't be our courtesy reaching out to just say, hey, next time, heads up. So we are going to try to do sort of an interim heads up if it works. I think that it will, because we've seen the instances in which we don't have full documentation go way down. So I think that we can probably handle that. We'll give it a try for April and see how that goes.
So if you don't have an attachment A signed after the 24 hours, your bid is considered unresponsive. Is that correct?
In May, it would be if you were missing that, right? So we want to try to help anyone avoid that error. Which what we're seeing right now is that it's an oversight. We've got all the attachment A's except one, for instance. There have been a couple cases where it's been hard to get the attachment A from a particular DBE. And so we'll work with that DBE to make sure that they understand also the importance of having the signed attachment A in. So wherever possible, we want to eliminate the possibility of the bid being rejected. So anyone else who wants to comment on anything I've said or any questions? Leah, is there anything that you might want to add to anyone who might be new to this meeting? Leah
Yeah,
is
and
our director at OBOC.
Yeah, I feel like we really do need to clarify, just based on something that Matt said about the difference in how some contractors feel that the good faith evaluation, like why in a certain month it was okay and in another month it wasn't. I think, Madalena, it's important to clarify that, there's a portion of the good faith effort evaluation that actually is not a part of the soft launch. So could you talk a little bit more about that and clarify that with everyone so that the folks in this meeting understand?
Sure. Maybe
for example, what happened differently in January once, because there's been some GFE denial. So why did that occur when it didn't occur in the previous months? I think there's some contractors that are still trying to wrap that around their head.
Okay. Well, thanks for that clarification. So the soft launch extension that we were granted was in terms of documentation collection itself. So that's where we can reach out to you and say, we didn't have the attachment A, but go ahead and send it now. It's okay. We're going to count your bid. The part that we were in full launch on in January was the actual review of good faith effort itself. So while we were still reaching out to bidders to say, we are missing this documentation from your good faith effort request. So you didn't include your solicitation letter. We don't have the quotes that you use to compare the DB to the non-DB. We still have the ability to reach out and ask for that information until May. But we were not allowed to suspend use of the rubric and the actual Gfe evaluation process that went into effect in January. So that's where, if you had received any rubric feedback in previous months where you did what you felt exactly the same type of effort prior to January, and were not told that it was not demonstration of good faith effort, that was because it only went into full launch for that rubric use in January. Do you think that's clear, Leah? Would you add anything to that?
I wouldn't. I just want to make sure that maybe if we could get feedback from others, if it's clear to you.
Yeah, I think every effort was made to try to get that word out. You know, I know we sent notice out through the association, and I know that was out there that January was not necessarily part of the documentation soft launch. I
Right.
tried to get out to everyone it's a challenge. I know you refer to the good communication with contractors, but we appreciate being kept in the loop too, because we don't want to get in those situations where somebody is not informed, but it's got a high potential of happening. It really does. Especially you can't assume necessarily that all contractors are active prime bidding contractors every month either.
Right.
There may be some sectors that just the nature of a project or a couple of projects come up that suddenly they are a prime contractor and they are in that role. So it's a tremendous challenge. I was more referring to whenever you have a subjective process, you will most likely get in a situation moving forward where somebody is going to make that argument that I was given credit for that before, and something changed here, and I thought I was in good faith was doing what was right, and now I'm in a situation that's different than what I thought the rules of the game are. So it's more of a just an overall beware. It's got potential for those sort of problems. The more subjective the process is.
Absolutely, Matt, and we understand that. And Madalena and Leah have been, and the rest of the team have been reaching out and making sure people understood what we were ranking, what we were using the rubric for, and how we were placing them with respect to the scoring on that rubric, so that they wouldn't feel that way, so that they could see if there was a change, that they would know, all right, this is what we had to do, or this is where you fell short. We've been very, very specific in identifying areas where people have fallen short, to say, this is what you need to improve on. These are the areas, as well as the areas that they've done well. Many folks are doing really well in certain areas and maybe not so much in others. And so we're really trying to educate people to get them to understand that this is what you have to meet. These are the things you need to do. And so that we take away, we're trying to be as absolutely objective as possible. However, understanding that we can't write a formula, as Madalena has said, that's, against the rules of engagement. And so we just can't do that. The federal rules do not allow us to write a formula to pass people through that. And we just got a hand raised from Ugo, I believe. Yes.
Hello. Yeah, I just want to say on behalf of NAMEC, well, first of all, great presentation. And just yes, for any more input or feedback. On behalf of NAMEC, we're receiving a lot more DB solicitations from our prime contractors, and we are, as a result, and we are broadcasting this to our entire membership, sometimes on a daily basis, half a dozen, if not a dozen. So, so hopefully these are increasing the relationship building opportunities as a result. But, I know as far as NAMEC, really appreciate the primes reaching out with a lot more DB solicitations for our members.
Great. Thanks for that feedback, Hugo. I think it's definitely a tremendous effort that everyone has made. Jill Fairman comes out on the road with me frequently. We're going to go on tour again in April. One of the documents that you received from Lori is registration for Gfe Sessions. I think Jill will be with me because we do want to give some updates on what we're looking at for potential changes in the bidding process. You've heard us talk before a bit about looking at expanding how we use Bid Express and the project bids interface into AWP and how that will be of benefit. We are still moving in that direction, as well as the e-submit that I just mentioned. So please take a look at that. We'll be blasting out these invites to everyone as well, but you sort of get a sneak peek because you're here at Transact. So go ahead and please register for one or both sessions. It's going to be the same content, but it probably doesn't hurt for some people to attend a couple times. And I don't know, maybe we get better the second time around. Jill, is our second, that's when we have the party, or?
Maybe that's possible. But a lot of times if people watch the first one and then go back and do a couple tests and see what it feels like and looks like, then they may have additional questions at the second session. So that gives them an opportunity to revisit some of those things.
Good, thanks. Is there anything else you might want to add, Jill, while we've got you there?
No, I just want to reinforce what Matt and Elena said. We are still continuing to work on getting that DT 1506 included into the bid submittal process, so you don't have to submit a separate attachment, that it's completely internal within the BidX software. Hopefully, our hope is that reduces a little mathematical errors and the challenges for last minute updates to your bid prices, that you'll be able to see that a lot more automatic than you are in the past. Our testing is going well, but because of the advertisement, it will be a little bit yet before you'll see it effective in the lettings.
Okay, thanks for that, Jill. I think another document that we have included for you all is the list of new DBEs since our last meeting. So Lori will be doing that regularly. Those DBEs are in the directory and are on our interactive map as well. So we want to make sure we're getting the word out as frequently as possible as new DBEs come into the fold. So I think that's what I wanted to cover. I want to run around here and put everybody on the spot individually, so get ready. We can use this as the time where we'll do industry issues and check-ins too. So if you are in one of those groups listed in industry check-ins, when I come to you, please be ready to share something fabulous with us. Okay, Jeff, you're actually at the top of my list here. What would you like to comment or question?
I think I've asked my question, so I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. John Zignago?
Not to copy Jeff, but I think the two questions I had, I kind of asked. Sorry.
Okay, no, it's all right. If you have anything else, you'll still got a little time. Anne, anything you'd like to add? Questions you have?
The only thing I have is, when I attended the labor compliance meeting last Thursday, they said there is a change to ASP4 prompt payment. I don't know if we ever discussed that in our group about payment to first tier subcontractors. They're not going to have retainage withheld after the December letting. So the prime shouldn't withhold it from DBEs or anyone really if it's not being withheld from them. I don't know if that was ever brought up here. It's the first I heard of it.
Right, we haven't discussed it here, but we do have a couple experts in the room who could shed some light on that. Who of our BPD colleagues might like to take that?
I can add into it, or do you want to go back? That's fine.
Well, it doesn't matter. Go ahead if you want, Jill.
We did have an updated ASP4 added into the special provisions for our projects, which you're correct. Contractors now have to pay within 10 days and hold no retainage. The only exception to that would be is if there's a quality work issue, and that has to be documented. In those cases, there may be some issues. If you're having any concerns with that as a subcontractor first tier, you should contact your construction oversight or your construction lead, and they'll help you work through that process.
Thanks, Joe. Does that answer your question, Ann?
Yeah, it's kind of a big change. In all the years that we've been doing this, it's the first time that's ever occurred.
Mm-hmm. Yes, big progress.
Yeah.
Benji.
So just
sorry.
I'm sorry. Just to reiterate, I mean, there is the option for just cause. So, you know, if we have issues that they're outstanding, there's outstanding documentation and things like that. You know, we want those things to get in. If we get some quality issues, those should be gotten in. So, you know, our emphasis has been, you know, we'll pay for things when they're complete, and those payments should be passed down through the ranks in totality when they are complete. So, you know, it's been a big shift for contractors, you know, prime contractors, and the concern does fall in the areas if, you know, a lot of that documentation and stuff isn't in, or if there are those quality issues. So just be aware of that. So.
Okay. Thank you, Beth. Benji, questions or comments?
No questions. That it's really good to hear there's a lot of new and growing open dialogue between the contractors and the DBE firms. So that's super encouraging.
Definitely, yes. Thanks, Benji. And Benji helps coordinate our mentor protege program for construction. So if you want to get involved and aren't already, Benji will be happy to get you engaged.
Yep, just shoot me an email.
Thank you. Brent Freeman, comments or questions?
Yeah, I don't really have any questions at this point. I did want to comment on the new DT 1506 forms. Like last month, I thought those worked way better than the previous version. So just want to say good job on those forms.
Great, thank you. Thanks for giving us feedback along the way. I'm glad that that's working well. Good. Beth, anything else you might want to add?
Nope, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Shannon Clary.
Not this time.
Okay, thanks. Leah, anything else you might like to add or questions you have?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Tom DeWinter, I didn't notice you were here before. Hello. Lori, please make sure we note that Tom was here. Any questions or comments, Tom?
No, I'm kind of coming in late on this process. It's just we're trying to get our aeronautics DBE language in line and can parallel with highways here, and it's a little hard when it's a moving target.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, happy to continue that conversation with you. I'm glad you're here at this meeting as well. Thanks. Don Miller.
I just wanted to applaud the efforts of all parties, the DOT and the contractors, both the primes and the DBs. I was in front of this issue for 20 years at DOT myself, and this is really going well, I think, and will hopefully meet what the federal highway really needs to have us meet. And so I applaud all the efforts here. It's really great to see.
Thank you, Don. Thanks for your contributions as well. You're a great asset to our team.
Madalena,
yes.
Jeff, another question.
Sure. Go ahead, Jeff.
So I heard Tom on from Aeronautics, and it's timely because they've got a bid coming out that we're going to actually send ours in the mail, the old-fashioned way, and we're going to get it out here shortly. What is the requirement, Tom, for our DB documentation for you folks? Are we supposed to try to send that in the mail with the bid today?
If you have it, that's what we would prefer. I've updated, it was only on the 9th that I've updated the advisory notice to bidders, so I don't think it went out for the March bids, but it should be going out or have an addendum for the April bids that describe in the DBE that yes, you should be putting in the information, but come May 1st, it's required.
Okay.
And so that's what we're trying to get into place, probably again by addendum on for April, and hopefully it will be in the proposal itself for May.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Ijoma, questions or comments?
Not at this moment. Thank you.
Thank you. Ijoma coordinates our check-in of documents for the bid lettings and really keeps everything organized, keeps the team informed, is reaching out to contractors. So we really have to recognize your efforts, Ijoma, because you have really helped to make this process get to the place where it is now fairly smooth. So thank you.
Thank
Jill,
you.
yeah. Jill, anything else to add or questions?
Nope, I don't have anything else at this time.
Okay, thank you. Mary Forlenza.
Hey, everybody. Just a couple of things. First of all, it's really great to hear how things are moving and some of the feedback from industry, from contractors, from DBE firms, and those that represent them. We really like to be hearing that there's more communication going on, more opportunities. Sorry, that's my dog in the background if you hear groaning. It's not me. And that's part of why we do this, right? So while it's not easy, and we heard in a couple areas that it has been done the same way in Wisconsin for a very long time. So we commend everybody and all the players that are involved in moving this along and making the shift. I think, I don't know for sure, but Joel may have let this group know that there is a corporate enterprise risk management, we call it, review going on right now in all 52 divisions and territories, and it's on prompt payment and return of retainage. So the return of retainage piece became pretty darn easy for us. Not that it was easy to get there, but the timing of the review made it very simple for us to explain what Wisconsin has moved forward with in that regard. Also, the department, WSDOT's been really good in providing us the data for the review, and we are working through that prompt payment review with WSDOT, the OBOC area right now, and analyzing that data. So when we do get that, we will make sure, of course, to make that available, and I'm sure that WSDOT will want to share that with this and other related groups. And in Wisconsin, it's the 10-day payment between the, for the primes to pay the subs. And that's the kind of thing that we're looking at in that review. So that's going on, and it's going well. We should have the results of that and everything wrapped up to share by May. By then, we should have it completed and have management briefed in both of our agencies, and it'll be available to share. And then the last thing is a shameless plug on my part. We did get approval to fill Joel's vacancy, the civil rights specialist. And because of the large amount of work and the good things that are going on in Wisconsin, we're shifting some responsibilities around. And while that new person will have some other duties as well, we've moved the right-of-way portion of that to another team member in our division. So, and again, my dog. So it must be afternoon nap time. So we're really looking forward to recruiting for that. That announcement is pending. So as soon as I get that, I'm going to get that out, and I will make sure to share it with this and other groups as well, so that we can share that opportunity. And we're really looking for a great person to come in and help us do the continued good work that Joel and others started before him. So Anybody have any questions for me? Otherwise, that's plenty for today.
My only question is I second the afternoon nap thing.
I'll let him know, Steve.
Thanks for those updates, Mary. I'm glad you're joining us. Thanks for being here. Okay, Lori Green, anything you would like to add for the benefit of the group?
No, just good meeting. Lots of content.
Okay, thank you. Julie Harkinson.
No, not at this time. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Julie. We'll come back to Steve at the end. Kyle Beld.
Yeah, at this point in time, I don't have much. I know Sarah and I are looking at a lot of the trainings coming up and kind of getting ourselves up to speed. I think we have a pretty good comfort level, but a little more education never hurts.
Good. Well, welcome to both you and Sarah joining these meetings. And Matt Grove, do you have any industry updates for us?
No, I don't think I have anything else really pressing. Yeah, retainage is interesting. It is a major change. There was always there's pretty clear responsibility passed through or up to the prime contractor. So it's necessary in many cases to make sure that a contractor protects themselves, and we've got plenty of situations that have arisen over the years that reinforce that. So I guess we'll just kind of have to keep an eye on it. We had a lot of discussion about it. The old process was in place, which is a normal process of withholding retainage and then withholding on a subcontractor, which gave a maybe in some cases a bit of a false sense of security, but there does need some protection there. So I would suspect people are going to be looking very closely at that and figuring out how to protect themselves and whatnot. So I think it really hasn't. It just took place in December, so it hasn't really been tested yet. But interesting concept, big change. We'll kind of have to keep an eye on it.
Thanks, Matt. We'll stay tuned for your feedback. I see that Meenal did join us. Are you here, Meenal? I didn't count you before.
I am here.
Hi. Thanks for joining us. Anything you'd like to ask about or comment to add?
No, it was just great listening to you guys, and it's great to see the progress you guys are making.
Great. Oh, good to see you. Okay, thanks. Let's see, Brian Mitchell. What do you have?
Well, I guess I would like to echo Don Miller's comments about seeing progress, and it's been a long journey, and I'm glad to see the direction in which we're going. And I also want to echo Mary Forlenza's comments on prompt payments. Prompt payments were an issue of mine for a very long time, and I'm glad to see some progress is being made. While I recognize Matt's interest in the contractors protecting themselves, I think it's not at all unreasonable that subs who do work should get paid for their work promptly. And so I'm glad to see us moving forward with it. So, and it's a good meeting. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Brian. Paul and Don, anything to add?
No questions, no input. I think, yeah, it's all great information. And glad to hear from our stakeholders. Is it me or is everything frozen?
Madalena, did we lose you?
It appears Madalena is locked.
All right, well, I will continue moving on until she's able to rejoin us. Let's see. Roz, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Yes, I do. I would like to mention that our DB support services solicitation has been republished to the April 7th. It will be published on April 7th, and the NOIs will be due April 21st at noon.
Thank you, Roz.
You're welcome.
Sarah Upton, do you have anything that you'd like to add? Any comments, questions?
I'm just going to kind of stay with what Kyle said. We're learning and we're excited to get started with the process and just taking in kind of at this moment all the information we can.
Thank you, Sarah. Becky.
No comments or questions at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Suki, do you have anything or did we already cover you already? I see you on twice, I think.
No.
Okay. Hang on here, I just lost my list here as I'm going down. Sorry about that. Got myself out of order here. Let's see, I'm almost there. All right, Ugo, do you have any comments, updates from NAMEC? Questions?
No, I mentioned the update earlier. Thank you, Leah. Mentioned the earlier update about the DB solicitations, and just want to say, as echoed earlier, thanks. Obviously change is never easy, and this is the changes have been very purposeful. The progress, obviously, addressed the progress on the retainage issues, which was a big concern for a lot of our NAMAC members who really appreciate the progress that's been made addressing the retainage issues. And then just again, say thanks to the WISDOT leadership. Thank you to the primes again for the outreach. And then again, thank you to all the parties involved for all the participation.
Thank you, Ugo. Natalia, do you have anything that you'd like to add? Any comments, questions, updates?
No, but thank you.
Marlena?
No, none at all. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you all. Steve, do you have any closing comments?
Sure, just a couple of quick ones, and probably going to echo most of what's already been said. As Ugo said, change is never easy, and we've been making some really big changes in this program and how we do business, and it's been successful because of the hard work of the DBs, the primes, our office, FHWA, all the stakeholders that have been involved in this have made these changes as successful as they are. So just want to shout a big thank you out to everybody. And also, there's more to come, right? I mean, we're going to go to hard launch in May, and so there's some things that still have to happen. And, there's still some education, as Matt has indicated, about, the rubric and how we're doing things. And so I want to engage all of you and enlist your help. And, if somebody does have a question as you're working with a subcontractor, or a DB, or, as you're sending in information, please reach out to us, or if somebody says, hey, I don't understand this, have them reach out to us. Make sure that you give them our names and numbers, and we'd be more than happy to discuss their questions and get them answered so that they're understanding how the process is working and how things are going. So I want to really leverage this large group to go out and get the message out to as many people as possible and funnel those questions back to us. We're more than glad to take them, but we got to keep working on getting that message out to folks. So thank you. And Matt has raised his hand again.
Yeah, I have one question regarding that. Once we go to the hard launch, are we going to continue to report the same way we're reporting now? Are you going to report how many, unresponsives and what the reason was, so we can continue to learn from that?
Am I back?
Yeah, you are.
Sorry, I fell off.
Yep,
That's
you are.
our plan. Yes, we want to keep tracking this and
correct.
And reporting it out.
Yes, that is correct. And I just want to add also that, Madalena and I have actually been meeting with contractors to talk about the good faith effort piece. And so we are also, as Steve indicated, we are open to the reaching out to us. We are also scheduling meetings, and those have been going really well. I think just to clarify any confusion out there. So we want to continue to have those discussions. So please reach out to us and continue to do so, because I know Madalena's had a lot of conversations, but she and I have also been doing some meetings jointly as well. Did I miss anyone that that Madeline and I didn't call out, that would like to add any additional comments or questions or feedback before we end our meeting? Well, we thank you for joining us today. And then also look out for the April training sessions that will be coming up soon, because we want to make sure that you get registered for those so that you get those updates before we fully launch in May.